Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rami Rahim.
This is how we do it. This is how we do it.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Let me be the first to welcome you all to NXTWORK 2017. I am absolutely delighted that you all decided to join us today. I've honestly been really looking forward to today and what's coming up over the next couple of days. It is a real privilege to be here with some of the smartest people in the industry, our beloved customers, our partners, to discuss industry, to discuss strategy, to discuss our path forward as a company. But today is not just about me standing up here and lecturing you. Today is about an intersection of ideas and practice. Today is truly an opportunity for all of us to exchange ideas. Now, I know many of you know Juniper very well. We've always, as a company, excelled at solving the really hard problems. Many of you know that I joined this company when I was back in 1997. I was employee number 32, the most junior employee to join the company at the time. And back then, Pradeep Sindhu, our founder and our CTO, would describe our mission in pretty simple terms. We're a company that's built on engineering, that solves the most important, the hardest, but the most meaningful problems in our industry. And back then, if you recall, the challenges were all around scale and performance. Our timing was impeccable. We were born just at the cusp of the dot-com boom, right? Just before traffic started exploding. And we offered a product that was much faster than anything that was out there, trying to sell to some of the most conservative customers, our service provider customers in the industry. But because traffic was growing so fast, they really had no choice but to bet on a young upstart that was Juniper. Fast forward to today, certainly scale and performance continues to matter. There's never been in the past, there is not today, there will never be in the future a limit to our ability to consume network capacity. For that reason, we must continue to innovate in the dimensions of scale and performance. But I think the problems have changed. I think the biggest problem that is before us today is actually that of complexity. It is more about the pursuit of simplicity. And I truly believe that this is our boldest challenge yet as an industry and as a company. Now, you're also going to pick up a bit of a theme in my talk this morning, which is that of change. We're no doubt living in times of extreme change. It's actually somewhat difficult to perceive just how much things are changing when you're in the midst of them. They are, in fact, exponential in nature. And this is putting unprecedented pressure on you, on us as a company, on our industry as a whole. When I look all around me, and I look at that change that's truly driving our strategy today, it starts first and foremost in the cloud. This is by far the biggest tectonic shift that is affecting our industry, our customers, our partners, and therefore influencing our strategy. Take a look at what AWS alone has done. Their last quarter demonstrates that they're on an $18 billion run rate. That's 3 times bigger than they were three years ago. At the last AWS reInvent conference that I suspect some of you were at, they had 40,000 attendees. Just astounding. And this is not a coincidence that it is cloud that is influencing us, our strategy, and our direction more than anything else. But it's also about cybersecurity, top of mind for everybody. And I have to say, we at Juniper, we take this personally. Before the internet, criminals were separated by distance and time from those that they wanted to do harm to. Well, it's the very success of the internet, the global network, that has essentially negated that time, negated that distance, and put those victims on the laps of the actual attackers themselves. It's the success of the internet that has made this possible. And we believe it is absolutely paramount, just crucial, that we overcome this challenge to make sure that the internet can scale to new heights and new limits in the future. This is the new frontier, the biggest challenge that we must overcome to enable scale and trust in the internet and cloud models that are before us. Third, I should say, it's around the economics of networking. We used to say that they're starting to break. Heck, they've broken. You see this everywhere. There's evidence all over the place. This is why large telcos are making massive mega bets on acquisitions of content companies, essentially saying, I give up on the networking economic model. I'm going into content. And many telcos and service providers and network operators have essentially concluded that the thing that could help them more than anything else is that first trend. It's around the cloud. It's about leveraging the efficiency and the agility that the cloud gives you in offering new and compelling services and business models. IoT and the movement to 5G, yet another really important trend that is happening around us. This, I would summarize as absolutely changing the architectural paradigm of the internet. If you think about IoT, 75 billion devices that will be deployed in the 2025 timeframe. Many of those devices are sensors, and many of those sensors are video cameras. And that path between sensing, collecting, analyzing, and then feeding back intelligence into the network must get tighter and tighter. Latency matters. Speed of light constraints matter. And for that reason, that cloud paradigm that we've been used to of a centralized cloud is exploding into little pieces where compute and storage is moving out closer and closer to the consumers of cloud services, whether they be humans or things. This is causing a paradigm shift in how we must architect the network for the future of connectivity in a mobile world and a world where IoT is prevalent. And last but not least, it's about artificial intelligence. Now, those who have followed Juniper over the years have heard me say on this stage and others that automation is the next big thing in networking. Well, artificial intelligence is making automation, quite frankly, magical. You know, there's two branches of artificial intelligence. There's the general AI, that's all about the stuff you hear in movies, okay? That's less interesting to me. But then there's narrow AI. This is where you hear about incredible breakthroughs, like a machine being able to detect objects in a photograph better than humans, or a machine beating the world's best Go player or chess player. Some incredible advancements have been made here, and they're absolutely applicable to networking and to security. In a sense, artificial intelligence coupled with data that is all over our networks, allows us to predict the future. If you think about it, AI coupled with data can tell you when you're going to be running into a problem. For example, you're exhausting a particular resource before it actually happens and before it does damage to the customer experience. In security, AI can tell you that there is going to be an attack or that there's going to be damage from an attack before that damage is actually done. That is the true promise of AI, and it's not about theory or projection. It's here today. You're going to see demos and us talking to you about some incredible use cases for this technology in some of the products that we're putting in the market today. So we take these trends. We're always looking around these trends that are before us, and we're distilling them down into a strategy that we as a company execute on. And that strategy has 4 essential pillars. At the heart of all cloud services is the data center. And we set out a few years ago to really go big in the data center space. We wanted to be leaders in providing data center infrastructure. And we have built over the last few years a thriving, fast-growing data center switching business that we're very proud of, and we're very confident this is going to be a growth driver for us in the future. But it's not just about switching. It's not just about underlay. It's about underlay. It's about overlay. It's about orchestration, management, ease of automation. And of course, it's about security. And we have some incredible new innovations that are in this area that you're going to learn about today. We also recognized several years ago that this cloud trend is going to put immense pressure on the wide area. Essentially, those connections that connect the data center services to the consumers of cloud services. If you think about what cloud is about, it's essentially separating through distance those cloud services, workloads, applications, and the consumers of cloud services and those workloads and those applications. And that puts incredible pressure on those connections. And we recognized early on the traditional way of building out those wide area networks, it's just not going to cut it. It's not going to scale economically. And for that reason, we battled it out in the meeting rooms of Juniper Network, trying to figure out what is a more cost-effective way. And I'll tell you, as an engineer, these problems are brutally difficult to solve because for the first time ever, we were engineers sitting in a room not debating about what features to add to our next generation core routers, but which ones we should subtract in order to achieve the optimal price point for network transport. And I'm absolutely delighted with the progress we've made. In fact, for the first time ever this year, we achieved #1 market share in core routing in North America, thanks to all of you. Now, we also recognized, as I just mentioned, that clouds can't remain centralized. They must get distributed. They must get closer to those that are consuming cloud services. Speed of light matters. Latency matters. But the problem is it's so hard, so difficult. And we want to negate that difficulty. We want to make it easy. And for that reason, we're taking the years of lessons now that we have had in deploying cloud architectures and SDN to offer a super simple solution to that distributed cloud model. So we're packaging compute, storage, networking, orchestrations, and the VNFs themselves from us, from third parties. We're testing it and making it ready for deployment. We're even putting services around it for a build, operate, transfer model, all with the intent of making it easy so that you don't have to learn the hard lessons that we've learned over the last few years on how this is possible. And last but not least, it is around making multi-cloud easy and secure for all of you. Now, as I travel the world and I talk to many of our customers, CEOs, CTOs, and CIOs, the one thing that always comes up is you want to leverage the cloud model. You want to move workloads and applications into the cloud. But it's just too hard. And you're looking for that easy button, and then that problem has not been solved, or not yet well. So it's all about making multi-cloud simple. But this is not just a problem of connectivity. This is a problem of fungibility. It's a network that provides scalable access to resources that are as needed in an efficient way. It's about ubiquity, a network that provides those resources anywhere you are, anytime you need them. It's about reliability and security so that that availability is offered even in the face of adversity. That adversity can be from quality issues, fiber cuts, to cyber attacks, people that are actively looking to defeat that experience. Importantly, that network needs to be truly automated, intent-driven in nature. One common problem that we hear about is security. People are reluctant to move to the cloud because of security. But it's not so much that they distrust the public cloud. Actually, I think that's less and less of a problem. It's the complexity associated with security in a multi-cloud environment. If you have applications in a private cloud and an application scattered across multiple public clouds, who has the time and the inclination and the resources and the money to figure out the security policies that are required in each and every one of those environments? What people want, again, is the easy button, an abstracted view where you can, with intent, define your security policies, and those get automatically translated to each and every one of those cloud environments. In a sense, the infrastructure should be invisible to the user. It's not unlike a toaster. You plug it into your wall, you don't care about whether that toaster is getting its energy from solar panels up on your roof, or hydro, or geothermal, or nuclear. You just want it to toast. The cloud is similar. I just want my workloads, I want my applications, I want the ability to innovate. I don't care whether those resources are coming from private or public, or whether they're being offered through SD-WAN or dedicated MPLS VPN circuits. You just want it to work. And this is not a solved problem today, at least not solved well. The key is the promise of multi-cloud without the complexity that necessarily comes with it today. Complexity costs us billions of dollars and tens of thousands of hours of lost productivity. It exposes us to security risks. It traps talent. We as an industry are so busy keeping the lights on, trapped in legacy, that we're losing sight of what it takes to innovate and to keep all of those disruptors out. Complexity traps that talent and negates our ability to truly innovate. It downright cripples some companies. This is, I will say, the new hard problem to solve in IT, the new worthwhile problem to solve in IT. Now, throughout time, many have recognized the effort that it takes to make things simple. It was Mark Twain that said, "I did not have time to write a short letter, and so I wrote a long letter instead." Achieving simple is a huge, huge engineering feat. We cannot be confused about that. In a sense, I would say it's actually impossible to get rid of complexity altogether. The complexity of a system depends on endpoints, apps, users, logical scale. And in much the same way that in nature, there are laws that govern the conservation of energy or mass or momentum, I would make a thesis that there are similar laws around the conservation of complexity. So while we can shift it, we cannot get rid of it. And by me standing up on stage and saying to you all that this is a new hard problem, this is a problem that we are going to solve for our beloved customers and partners, essentially we are making the statement that we are ready to abstract away that complexity so that we deal with it rather than you. And I will say that this is a new obsession for this company. Our engineering DNA over the years has never been more important than it is today. It's worthwhile spending just a minute on what simple is not. First, it's not easy. You just heard me say that. It's around shifting the burden of the hard from you to us. And we are prepared to do just that. Second, don't let anybody tell you that it's rigid, that it is only about closed and proprietary systems where you are locked in and you must make decisions from a single networking vendor. Absolutely refuse to believe that. Third, it's not limited. It's not so narrow in its scope like the data center switch that's value is truly questionable. It must be broader than that. And last but not least, it certainly is not abstract. It's not architecture. It's not lines on a PowerPoint slide. It's not veneer that doesn't have any value in the real world. The path to simplicity is not just around software. It actually touches each and every layer of the networking stack. Achieving simplicity requires all layers of that stack, in fact. In management and orchestration, absolutely. But it's not, of course, about the overlay. Certainly simple is not management and orchestration of overlay and separate management and orchestration of underlay. It's management and orchestration of the network, the whole network. The operating itself needs to provide all the right layers of programmability at the forwarding, at management, and at the control so that the network can respect and do what the applications want it to. And as the world moves from scale up to scale out, we must make sure that we negate the complexity of that architectural transition. More nodes typically results in greater levels of complexity. We want to enable scale-out architectures without, in fact, the complexity that's typically associated with those architectures. Now, fortunately, at Juniper, we have a secret weapon, and one that I am so very proud of, and that's Contrail. I will be the first to admit that the way that we have been investing and innovating in Contrail over the last few years is sort of similar to how a car company would invest in a Formula One car. It's essentially a proving ground for the world's best technology, and we have put some incredible technology to solve the problems of scale, to solve the problems of connectivity and security into Contrail. But its use cases have thus far been somewhat limited. But there's a next act to Contrail, one that we have been working on for several years now that's just about to come to fruition. The future of Contrail is it as a platform, a single controller that can solve a variety of really compelling use cases with ease and simplicity. Whether it's management of overlay and underlay, or SD-WAN connectivity, or multi-cloud fabric management, or multi-cloud security, or telco cloud in an easy way. These are the use cases that we have actually silently been working on in Contrail for years now. We're about to come out with them and to demonstrate to you just how simple it can make these use cases for you. Cannot tell you how excited I am and how proud I am of the Contrail team and the broader Juniper Network team for developing this technology. It's game-changing. In summary, our engineering DNA has served us really well. We've anticipated changes in the industry. We've solved some of the biggest problems of scale, performance, and automation. We've disaggregated ahead of anybody else where it made sense to do so. We've built, deployed, and learned from actual networks that are truly SDN in nature. We fundamentally believe that complexity is on the wrong side of change. Simple is our new obsession as a company. Simple is powerful. Simple always starts with engineering. Thank you very much.